All right, everybody, I am finally back with a brand new DC update. And boy, sometimes life just smacks you upside the head. I will talk about that at the end of my video today, so for those who don't want to hear about what's happened, you can just skip that part of it. And again, if you're so inclined, please, it's very important to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're so inclined after today's video, hit that subscribe button so you will be notified as I have new videos go up. Boy, do we have a few things to talk about today. This won't be my typical update. I will have a regular update tomorrow. I am dedicated to getting that done. I do have PT tomorrow and a few things I need to take care of, but I should be able to get up a new video before the end of tomorrow. And that's where I'm going to have like the majority of my stuff, my regular stuff. But I need to talk about a couple of things that are really important, and people need to understand what is happening behind the scenes. First of all, there was a Capitol Hill hearing, and Ted Sarandos, who wants to take over Netflix, was testifying. And he testified under oath something that we knew all along, but was finally spoken out loud. And we're going to look at that today. We're also going to look at what Zack Snyder's been up to. There is something going on. And Netflix has promised us something big. And you could tell that by the thumbnail to today's video. But let's take a look at the few things that I want to talk about today. So first up, the Curly Ray posted this. He said, guys, I think we're about to get the Ayer cut. And Zack Snyder was out there with David Ayer. They're seen together. They're photographed together. I have a few posts in regards to this. Here's another one from Zack Snyder himself. And you can see David Ayer there on the right. And for people to say that this is just a coincidence, yeah, there's definitely something happening behind the scenes with everything Zack has been posting. And look at the smile on his face. He knows something is up. David Ayer even posted himself, nice to see an old friend. And look at the look on their face. They're like, something is going on. Something is happening behind the scenes, guys. If there was a course on evidence, and you look at all the stuff that Zack has been posting, and now we've got David Ayer coming into the mix, and all these other actors have been posting, like Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill himself. There are things happening behind the scenes that we're not privy to. But there's even more evidence based off of what a quote was coming out of Netflix. Now, I have not been able to confirm this quote. I'm still going to put it under rumor, but so many people picked up on this that it's crazy. So let's take a look at that. So Netflix CEO drops bombshell promise. Will bring your hero back. And yes, this would be in regards to Henry Cavill, but there are also rumors out there that Netflix is getting ready to do a Batman movie with Zack Snyder directing Ben Affleck in a Batman film. Now, personally, if I had a choice, that's what I would do, because I will tell you the Batman scenes in Batman vs. Superman, holy crap. Zack Snyder brought Batman to life. He ripped him directly out of the comics. I want more of that. I would have preferred that Zack Snyder direct a Batman film than a Superman film. But, we got what we got. But they could also be referring to bringing Batman back as well. But let's see what these reports say. Speculation is exploding after bold comments from Netflix leadership sparked fresh excitement. Fans believe a possible partnership with DC could open the door for a major reboot. The idea of bringing back a beloved hero feels powerful, emotional, and full of promise. At the center of the rumors is Henry Cavill returning as Superman. His calm strength, heroic presence, and dedication to the role made him unforgettable. Many viewers still connect his version with hope, discipline, and quiet confidence. While nothing is officially confirmed, the pieces seem to be aligning. Industry whispers, fan reactions, and studio silence are all feeding the momentum. You can almost feel the anticipation building across social media. If this comeback happens, it could reshape the superhero landscape overnight. A new chapter may begin with legacy, renewal, and renewed faith in iconic storytelling. And that is in regards to the picture I just showed you. So yes, Netflix is is promising a hero's return. But there was also something that happened on Capitol Hill that people are trying. I'm going to show you what was said, and then we're going to talk about what this actually means. So even some of the DCU people were picking up on this. It says, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has indicated that Superman's short window from theatrical to digital release was due to underperformance. He said routinely movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit. Superman was a little shorter window. Sinners was a little longer. I will tell you, I loved Sinners. It was one of my favorite films of last year. I even posted on Twitter what my favorite films were, and Superman was my least favorite film of the year. It was probably the worst film I saw last year. Hands down. It was messy. It was just full of so many problems, not what I want my heroes to be. So what the gun group is saying about this is that you have to remember that Superman was profitable. It profited the studio over $100 million. And I'm going to point out here that Ted Sarandos is talking about the theatrical run, not DVD sales, not Blu-ray sales, not 4K sales, not toy sales. He is talking about the performance of the movie at the theater. And it is a fact that it underperformed. It did not make its money back. And I guarantee you, I can all but guarantee you, the studio is lying about the budget, okay? But if you take it just based off of the theatrical performance, it made less money than Man of Steel did 13 years ago. It sold about half as many tickets. That is a fact showing you that the interest is not there. Anybody who tells you otherwise is a liar. Creature Commandos performed poorly. So did Peacemaker Season 2. It did worse than Season 1. People are not interested in what James Gunn is shoveling up, and I think Netflix has picked up on this. Now, people are out there telling you just a while ago, Ted Sarandos was telling everybody how much of a blockbuster Superman was at the theater. Well, that was before they actually got to see the financials, okay? And what's crazy about this is you'll see Superman toys being in clearance everywhere. I even posted some of those photos in one of my previous videos. So no matter what anybody tells you, this movie was not the juggernaut and not the film they needed to reboot an entire universe. And so it could be very short-lived. And it doesn't matter what these gun people tell you. At the end of the day, what everybody forgets is that Man of Steel already profited over $100 million just from product placement before the movie ever came out. So you want to talk about what was better for the studio? Man of Steel sold way more tickets, made more money, and was already profiting before it ever hit theaters. You cannot say the same thing about Superman. If it did make it over that line, it did it at the very end after everything was said and done. And it was nowhere, I can guarantee you it wasn't $100 million in profit. There's no freaking way. I don't care what they are telling you. We're going to find out years from now how Warner Brothers cooked the books on this. It happens all the time with lots of different things. And so I do believe that's what we're going to see happen at the end of all of this. So again, if you just look at the evidence that is out there, it does appear that something is happening behind the scenes. You've got Zack Snyder, who is Zactivated. You have David Ayer coming back into the mix now. Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, the trio have been posting things as well. And I've been covering this stuff in my previous videos. And now we see what's happening with Netflix on Capitol Hill. You've got the gun crowd is just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, okay? It doesn't matter the smoke that they blow. At the end of the day, Superman was not the hit they claimed it was. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. All right, so I will be back tomorrow with a regular video, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happened and what I've been going through. And there's some things I can talk about and what I can't talk about. And I'm going to come out and flat out tell you guys right now, I am legally not allowed to talk about my accident that happened back in 2024, okay? I'm not allowed to talk about it. Legally, it's off the table, okay? I can tell you what I'm going through now and what I'm dealing with, but I can't get into great details about most stuff. So, unfortunately, I'm never going to be able to talk about it. But this week has been especially not so fun. My wife is currently very sick. I've got friends who are sick as well. There's something going around. And on top of that, I found out day before yesterday that somebody that I worked with for 20 years passed away in a car accident just a week and a half ago. Still here where I live. He didn't live too far from where I lived, and I was devastated to find out. It actually was like a punch in the gut. He was a very good man. He was someone who trained me when I became a Nabisco salesman. He helped train me. He helped me get to where I was to become the salesman that I was while I was there for 20 years. And so he was a mentor. He was a friend. He was a friend to a lot of people, and he's going to be missed. On top of this, I am now migrating. I am done with Windows, okay? My studio stuff and everything for my voiceover business has always been Apple products. And I have decided to move away from Windows entirely except for gaming. I have one gaming PC. And my arcade machines all run off of Windows. They just don't make a lot of that software that I need for Apple. But my Plex Media Server was a Windows computer that is now about 13 years old, and it did great for what it was. But Windows is not reliable, and Windows 11 is the biggest piece of garbage that has been released from Microsoft since Microsoft Vista. It's a piece of junk, and there are videos online talking about how intrusive it is, all the bloat that's in it. My computer constantly turns off, and if I'm using it as a Plex Media Server, I can't have stuff go offline. And there's nothing worse than you're sitting down to eat lunch. You want to pull up your Plex Media Server and watch something that's on your server, and it's not available because the thing is turned off. So I am migrating everything over to Apple. And what I've done, I'm very careful about backing things up. And so I have 10 years worth of photos, videos, music, movies, and TV shows on my Plex Media Server, all amongst 4 8-terabyte drives and 2 10-terabyte drives. And all of those drives were in a RAID formation, which would help them back up one to another so I would never lose my data. Well, to move over to Apple, it doesn't read NTFS. It's not really compatible with Apple. So I had to take those drives out of a RAID formation. Each one was a 1-to-1 copy. Well, when that happened, the second drive that I was backing up to for each of those was no longer, it just did not read the information. So I had to take and reformat those drives to exFAT. That left my regular drives in there with just my data on it with no protection. So I figured the first thing I'm going to do is start copying that over to the drives manually and get the same thing set up on Apple. Well, when I was doing this, there were a couple of old drives that were sitting on top of my tower, and I bumped it, and those drives fell and damaged my 2 good drives. I lost 16 terabytes of all kinds of stuff. Now, luckily, the most important stuff I had, which were my photos and videos over the last 10 years, are already backed up I have them actually in several places. And I'm going to be even more diligent about it this time. But every drive that I'm putting on my Plex Media Server is going to have a second drive with the exact same data on it. And that way, I will never lose anything. And that's what I thought I had set up with Windows. But when you take it out of the RAID formation, it did something with those second drives, and the data was no longer readable. But anyway, I did have to. I've got those. I've started to rebuild my Plex Media Server. The good news is I can go into Plex and see everything that I had, and I got a video of that yesterday, so I can start rebuilding little by little and collecting all that stuff that I had on there. It's a long process. It's going to take a long time for me to do this, but I'm going to do it little by little. In the meantime, I have those drives being shipped off to a data recovery center, and depending upon how much it's going to cost, I'm going to have them extract the data and send it back to me. I talked to them today. They said it could cost hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s. If it's several $1,000s, I'm not going to do it. Because like I said, the most important stuff I do believe I had completely backed up somewhere else. The next part of it I would say is the music. I had some very rare music in digital form that I don't think I'm going to be able to get again if I don't get it off that drive. Not a deal breaker, but a very uncomfortable situation to be in. When you think you have everything covered and you're very careful about backing stuff up, there's that rule that if something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen. I can't remember off the top of my head that exact saying. Well, that's what happened in this situation. It was a perfect storm. And it just so happened that I was just getting ready to transfer that stuff over, and those drives fell and ruined those other drives. They're no longer readable. The data company said it could just be the heads, and it could be an easy swap out and not cost a whole lot of money at all. But if it's more catastrophic than that, yeah, I mean, that's 8 terabytes on each of those 2 drives. And so we're going to see what happens. Luckily, like I said, I do have my media server. I still own a lot of the disks that I ripped from a lot of those things. So what I'm doing currently is getting the stuff I don't have on disk back, so that I can get that stuff on my media server before I start ripping my discs and stuff, because I see no point to put DVDs in players anymore when I can just rip that data to a Plex media server and watch it anywhere in the house. This also reinforces why physical media is so important. One of the shows I loved watching while I was healing was Mr. Ed. And Mr. Ed is not streaming anywhere. You can't even buy it off of any streaming services. The only way you can get it is if you actually buy the DVD. So I did purchase the DVD set, and when it shows up, I'm going to be taking them off the disc and putting them on my media server in perfect quality with perfect audio. I can also do that with Blu-ray and 4K. I do have now some 4K players, so those 4K movies are not as critical. Before I had 4K players, I had to rip my 4K movies to my Plex media server if I wanted to watch them. But that was the other issue, is that computer just had issues doing the 4K stream. It's a 13-year-old computer, and it would glitch every once in a while. Not a deal breaker, but I wanted to have Apple does the 4K streams perfectly with 0 issues. So I am migrating everything over and rebuilding little by little, in the meantime waiting to get my data back. So it has been a very difficult time. And on top of that, I am doing PT twice a week to get more rotation from my accident. And, a lot of people don't realize I can't put my own sock on. And I now am able to tie my own shoe again, which is good. But for the longest time, I couldn't even get to my foot to be able to tie my shoe, but I still can't reach far enough to get my sock on. And there's other things I can't do that are uncomfortable. And I'm going to PT to get more rotation. And it's the only thing I could tell you about what happened is I did, my hip went through my pelvis basically, and I had to have a very complicated surgery done, and then ended up a month or so later having a pulmonary embolism, which could have killed me. And all I got to tell you guys, if you ever have knee surgery, hip surgery, ankle surgery, you have to make sure that your doctor sends you home with blood thinners, because my doctors did not send me home with blood thinners, which caused the pulmonary embolism. And so it's one of those things, I'd always heard that, you hear of people like having hip replacements and other things, which I didn't have. Mine was way more complicated than like a hip replacement, but you hear of these people having hip replacements and then dying shortly after, and I could totally see how that can happen now. It was scary. Last year was the worst year of my life by far, and people don't know how bad it actually was, and unfortunately I'm never going to be able to talk about those things. So this will be the one and only time I bring this up. I can still talk about PT and stuff like that, but I can't talk about what happened. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I do appreciate all of your guys' support, and especially if you made it to the end of today's video, please give this video a like. It helps out tremendously as I get back into doing this. It was not my intention to be gone for a week and a half, but like I said, a lot of stuff has happened that has taken my attention that is more important than running my YouTube channel. And so I'm getting back up and running and hope to be doing many more videos here shortly. I do appreciate the support. You guys make it all worth it coming back. And you guys, I have the best audience. Again, I cannot stress enough how my videos get way more views than I deserve. It's very strange when people see that with as small as my subscriber count is versus the actual clicks that I get and how many views my videos get. And I can attest to the fact that I'm always going to be genuine with you guys. I'm never going to change and just start jumping in one direction because that's what the studios want me to do or what people are pressuring me to do. I know what I like. I am a review channel after all, and I'm always going to be true to that, and I will never, ever change. So I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are amazing. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you. We will see you guys on the next video.